What if I told you that at the very moment Jesus was being crucified, the skies were not the only thing reacting? What if, in the unseen realm, just above the blood-stained earth and beyond the cries of men, something far greater was unfolding? Two of the most powerful archangels in existence stood watching. Michael, the warrior of heaven. Uriel, the flame of divine revelation. And between earth and eternity, the sun itself seemed to hold its breath. You've heard the story of the crucifixion many times, but you've never heard it like this. Because hidden in the shadows of Calvary, beyond what human eyes could see, something happened that challenges logic, stretches doctrine, and forces us to confront the unseen reality behind that day. So ask yourself this: why did the sky turn dark at noon? What was Jesus truly doing in the spirit while his body hung dying? And what role did heaven play when the King of Glory was pierced by a Roman spear? Stay with me, because once you hear this, you will never see the cross, or spiritual warfare, the same way again. And if you're new here, welcome to Bible Mysteries, the place where we explore the hidden, the divine, and the things most people never dare to talk about. From angelic warfare to prophetic secrets, if it's in Scripture and it carries mystery, we go deeper. So settle in, like, subscribe, and let's step beyond the veil. Most people see the cross only from the ground. They imagine the dusty hill, Roman soldiers standing guard, a mocking crowd, and a bleeding man nailed between criminals. And that is exactly what happened in the natural. But that is only the surface. That is what flesh could see. Scripture makes it clear that there is another realm operating alongside this one, a realm where battles can be raging even when the earth appears still. What if you could see in the Spirit? What if you could look beyond Golgotha and witness what was happening above it? Because according to the Gospels, something unnatural occurred. At noon, the sky went dark. Not cloudy. Not dim. Completely dark. For hours, light vanished in the middle of the day. This was not simply the sun refusing to shine. This darkness carried weight. It carried presence. It carried meaning. In the unseen realm, tension filled the air. Angels were not rejoicing. They were silent, alert, waiting. The darkness was not passive. It was active. As though creation itself had been placed under siege. And somewhere within that darkness, the enemy watched. Lucifer, the ancient serpent, the fallen one who once stood in heaven's courts, believed this was his victory. Since Eden, he had hunted the promise spoken by God, that the seed of the woman would crush his head. And now that seed hung bleeding, motionless, exposed. To hell, it looked like defeat. But hell has always misunderstood God's strategy. Because what appeared to be weakness was restraint. And restrained power is more terrifying than unleashed power. Jesus still had authority. He could have summoned legions of angels. He could have ended the moment with a word. He could have shattered the hill beneath his feet. But he chose silence. And in the spirit realm, that silence thundered. Hovering near the boundary between heaven and earth stood Michael, heaven's commander, armored not in gold but in authority, his sword ready yet unmoving. Beside him stood Uriel, radiant with holy fire, a bearer of divine mysteries, watching with unwavering focus. They were not there to rescue Jesus. They were there because heaven understood what was happening. This was not loss. This was execution of a plan written before time began. Before the stars were formed, before creation breathed its first breath, a divine purpose was set in motion. Every prophecy, every moment, every sacrifice pointed toward this hour. Jesus was not dying because he failed. He was dying because he was fulfilling. The only way to destroy sin was to descend beneath it, absorb it fully, and then rise victorious from within it. When Jesus cried out from the cross, his voice did not merely echo across the hill. It pierced realms. It moved through dimensions. It was not a cry of defeat. It was a signal. A declaration. And heaven responded. No trumpet sounded. No thunder cracked. No angel descended visibly. But in the spirit, a command moved with unstoppable authority. Hold the line. Guard what is mine. Michael moved into position, not to strike flesh and blood, but to enforce divine legality. Sin was being transferred. Debt was being paid. Accusation had no right to interfere. Heaven's covenant was being signed in blood, and Michael stood as a living barrier between Christ and every demonic attempt to corrupt the exchange. Uriel's role was different. Where Michael guarded authority, Uriel guarded revelation. The cross was not just about those standing there that day. Its impact would ripple across centuries, awaken apostles, ignite movements, and open hearts in nations yet unborn. Uriel released divine illumination across time itself, ensuring the meaning of the cross would never be lost. Then Jesus breathed his last. The earth shook. Rocks split. And the veil in the temple tore from top to bottom. That was not coincidence. That veil represented separation between God and man, guarded for generations. And now it was gone. Access had been restored. The Lamb had become the bridge. But the story did not end at the cross. While men stood in stunned silence beneath a darkened sky, Jesus' work continued. Scripture reveals that death was not the end of his movement. He descended into the realm of the dead, not as a prisoner, but as a king. Not to suffer further, but to reclaim authority. The realm of death had never encountered this before. It was accustomed to receiving the broken and the condemned. It had never received the sinless one bearing sin by choice. And when Jesus entered, everything trembled. Chains recognized him. Gates responded to his voice. Lift up your heads, O gates. This was not poetry. It was command. Jesus did not negotiate with death. He did not plead for release. He spoke with eternal authority, and death obeyed. Authority transferred. Claims collapsed. The right to hold humanity was revoked. Michael stood as witness. This transfer was lawful. Uriel unveiled what had been hidden since the foundation of the world. Promise met fulfillment. Waiting gave way to victory. Keys appeared, not forged by man, not shaped by fire, but etched with eternity. Authority over death. Authority over the grave. And when Jesus took them, death bowed. Resurrection did not begin at the tomb. It began the moment death lost its claim. When darkness realized it could not keep what the blood had purchased. When Jesus did not escape death, but conquered it from the inside. So when he rose on the third day, it was not a comeback. It was confirmation. The cross was not abandonment. It was strategy. Not weakness, but obedience. Not silence, but authority restrained. A king laying down his life to reclaim what humanity lost. And that is why heaven stood in attention while earth mocked. That is why darkness fell at noon. That is why the veil tore. That is why death itself had to bow. So I ask you again, what really happened on that cross? Was it the unseen war? The silence of heaven? The invasion of death's domain? Or the realization that God's greatest victories often look like defeat to human eyes? Let me know in the comments which moment shook you the most. And if this opened your eyes, share it, like it, and subscribe. Because what we uncover next will take you even deeper into the unseen reality that surrounds us all.